What do you think happens to people that never give? That they just earn for themselves, or they keep it in their business and they only put it back in their business, but they don't think about giving outside of the business?
I think their growth is stunted.
Really?
But, it to me, again, it falls in the same category as integrity. What happens to someone who cuts corners?
Mm-hmm.
You can win, you can prosper to a degree, but all the data tells us, and all the life experience tells us, that the people with fanatical levels of integrity are the ones that do the biggest stuff.
Right.
The crooks really don't get ahead at the end of the day. The people that are selfish, they could get some stuff done, but the people that are selfless, they just have a tendency, because people trust them. That trust factor comes in. Things move at the speed of trust, as they say, and all those things come into play, and you just don't become all you were designed to be. The other thing that happens with generosity is your creativity increases.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because you're releasing chemicals that you don't release when you're selfish. Your productivity increases. The quality of your relationships increase. I was speaking at a little Baptist church in Kentucky one time, beautiful little church, and the guy many years ago, and the old pastor had been there for 40 years, and I did a tithing lesson, hardcore, Baptist tithing lesson, which I love. And the guy came up afterwards and he goes, "Well, you left one thing out." "Sure, Pastor. You've been doing this longer than me. What'd I leave out?" He goes, "I've been doing this 40 years. I've never had a tithing couple in my church get a divorce." And I went, "Why?" "Because the tithe is magical?" Because some people think that in Christianity, because I don't think that. He said, "No. Because when you're unselfish with your money, you're unselfish with your wife. And you're unselfish with your husband. And you serve each other in the marriage if you're serving the community with your giving. It's the same muscle." And he goes, you're just easier to stay married to.
When you're tithing, when you're giving.
When you're giving. When you make giving a standard part of the rhythm of your life, you build that generosity muscle, and it affects every relationship
That's
you're
so
in.
true.
Particularly the key relationship in a marriage. It changes the way you parent,
Because if you don't give in one area, if you're saying, "I'm going to hold back my money and I'm going to keep it here," you're probably not going to give generously to your spouse or to your kids or to your friends or community, right?
Because it's a character quality.
Interesting.
It's like the guy that says, I hate the IRS, I hate taxes, so I don't really put everything on my tax return. Okay, so you're a liar.
Right.
You're a cheater. Where are you going to cheat me? In what deal? That's what I start thinking. I'm not impressed. I hate taxes, but I pay every stinking penny. Not because I believe in taxes, and not because I'm scared of the IRS, because neither one of those things are true, but it's because it says something about me. I got to look at me, and that's an integrity issue. It's every penny, every cash sale of a book on the back table goes into the accounting system, and we pay freaking taxes on it. I got audited not long ago. I paid precisely zero.
Wow.
In the audit. We were so stinking clean. And it's not because I'm scared of those dupers, because I'm really not. They're a pain in the butt, but I'm not scared of them. It's a matter of integrity is integrity is integrity is integrity. Generosity is generosity is generosity is generosity. These things, these are character qualities of the successful people that I've met.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Speaking of marriage, it seems like money affects marriages a lot. I'm curious or it could empower marriages, or it could hurt marriages if not handled properly. I'm curious if you were to give advice on a couple dating for, a few years, looking to get married, what are a few questions they must have and align to about money that might be uncomfortable to have those questions, but will actually get you clear on, hey, are we the right match?
Yeah.
In terms of our money mindset, in terms of what we're going to do with money for the next. And maybe you have this question in the first few months of dating. You don't wait 2 years. But what are those questions that people should be asking before they align with someone romantically long term?
Well, there's a couple things to keep in mind. When I'm talking to a young couple about this, and I do often in a marriage seminar or something like that, or a pre-marriage counseling session or something like that. The number one cause of divorce is money fights and money problems out there. The stress of money and the arguments over money, okay? And so if you said the number one cause of death is getting killed by a bear on the way to the mailbox, right? Then you would analyze how not to get killed by a bear on the way to the mailbox.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you're going to get married, you should really look at the number one freaking thing. Hello.
This is the number one thing that either hurts or ends marriage, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah. And the odd thing is it's actually circular. It's an infinity loop because it feeds back on itself, meaning that it also, the quality of your marriage is a high data point indicator as to whether or not you build wealth.
Yeah.
And so very few people drag a spouse kicking and screaming into millionaire status. You know,
You mean it doesn't happen by accident?
So I'm bringing the princess with me, right? Come on, baby, and put you on my back, and we're going to haul you over there. Right. It doesn't usually work, okay? Or I'm bringing the guy who's lazy and won't work, and I'm going to outwork him. And the lady says, and he's a little boy, and I'm going to be his mommy, and I'm going to drag him all the way into millionaire status. Not working, baby.
Right.
So it goes both directions. But so that's thing one. If it's the number one cause, then yeah, it ought to be something really you discuss. Mm-hmm. So preventative maintenance, right?
Yes.
It's preventative health. If the number one cause of death is obesity, we probably ought to think about obesity. You know.
I'm curious then. What's a question a woman should ask to her man? Within the first few months of dating about money, where she could get a sense if he's fully honest and integrity with what he's saying, and not just saying something to make her feel happy. What is a question she can ask to feel like, okay, this man I'm dating and courting and we're getting into this life with, I feel like I can trust him with money for the future.
Yeah. Well, money is a reflection of our values, how we handle money, and that's another reason that it's very important. Because if your values are not aligned, you're going to struggle in any relationship, but certainly in a marriage relationship. And so, talk about the basics of money. Debt. Oh, I love debt. I'm going to use it all the time. I want zero down everything. I'm going to buy a zero down truck. I'm going to buy a zero down stereo. I'm going to buy a zero down couch. I'm going to put nothing down on the house. And you hate debt? Okay, we got a problem. We're going to have to work through this, or we're going to have to, this is a deal killer. Okay, how about saving? I don't think you got to save money. You can always get you some. I always thought you could out-earn your stupidity. I tried that for years. Didn't work, So my wife, however, is a natural saver, right? So when I joined her club is when we started winning.
Yeah.
So bless her heart, she didn't know this going in, but made a hard life for her the first 7 years. But so saving and debt, how about generosity? I don't believe you ought to give. If you give, you end up with less. It's mathematically factual, which it is actually. But that's short-term thinking. That's a finite game instead of an infinite game, again, using Simon's premise on his book. And so generosity, the things we just talked about. How about living on are we going to live in chaos? Or are we going to live with a plan?
Yeah, I want to live with peace or chaos.
Yeah. Are we going to live with future-minded or YOLO? You only live once. Thank God it's Friday. Living for the weekend. Our marriage theme song is Huey Lewis in the News, right? I mean, come on. Is this us? And if it is, then, because what's this tell you? Anyone that lives short-term thinking, we know they're emotionally immature.
Yes. Spiritually
immature. And so you're marrying someone or you're dating someone that's emotionally immature, and they're fun. They're always fun. But it's not fun in the long term because it brings about stress. The fruit of this is nasty. And so, now, do we have to be perfectly aligned on all those things? No, we just need to understand where the other person stands, and are they so far away from us that it's a deal killer?
Yeah.
Because my wife is more of a saver than I am by nature. Saving for me is an intellectual act, a spiritual act of my will. It is not a natural rhythm, okay? She naturally saves everything. Yeah. The leftovers in our refrigerator are grotesque. I mean, she saves everything. So to the extent that I can stay close to her on that, then we've got harmony. We have both, obviously, with what we've been through, agreed no debt.
Right.
We are both have become planners over the 40 years of marriage. I've always been a detailed planner. So I had to get her to join me more on that. So, but it's better if you do it on the front end than the way we did it. It's a lot harder the way we did it, about kill each other. So you want to be in agreement on that. And all the data tells us on marriage and divorce statistics, and we've studied this for years, is number one cause of divorce, money. The other three, if you can be in agreement on them, religion, kids, whether to have them and how to treat them, and how to deal with crazy people in your extended family, your mother-in-law, and your crazy brother, your lazy brother who does cocaine. and whatever it is. How you going to deal with
How to manage it all, yeah.
how to manage boundaries with extended family. And if one of you thinks that children should just be let run wild and the other one is an over-disciplinarian, we're going to have a problem. Or I want no children and I want 17, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Or I don't believe there's a God, and I think anyone who believes there's a God's an idiot. Oh, by the way, I think there's a God. Oh, see, this is a problem because now I'm an idiot. So there you go. And so these are the things. But if you can agree, because all of these things are representative of your values and what your beliefs are. So when you can agree on your money, what you've ended up agreeing on is your dreams, your fears, your visions. You're in agreement. You're in alignment on those. Not only what they are, but how we're going to go after them then.
Before the interview continues, if you feel like you're not living your most authentic life, not leaning into your purpose, and not living the life that your future self would be extremely proud of, I've written a new book called The Greatness Mindset, and I think you're gonna love this. Through powerful stories, science-backed strategies, and step-by-step guidance, The Greatness Mindset will help you overcome all the different challenges in your life to design the life of your dreams and then turn it into your reality. Make sure to click the link below in the description to get your copy today. Okay, let's get back to this video.
And now you've got real harmony and you've got a high probability of building wealth.
Yes.
That's the odd part of it. That's the infinity loop, how it comes back in on itself.
Do you think love's enough if you have religion, kids, family boundaries kind of all in alignment in harmony, but money is completely apart, but you love each other? You've been building this life together for a year or two and you're like, should we get married or not? But we are so far apart. One's the fun and undisciplined person. One is the extreme saver and, detail-oriented plan person. Is love enough to have a successful, long-term, healthy marriage if money is not there?
I think you've got to be close. You don't have to be exactly aligned, but you got to be generally thinking. Because the problem is this: resentment is going to set in, and resentment will kill love.
Yeah.
The eye roll. When you roll your eyes, that's the beginning of the end.
Right.
Is
that called the Four Horsemen?
Exactly. The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Les Parrott teaches about that, and that's some standard John Gottman background stuff. But that's one of the four, and that's the big one, by the way, of the four. And so if he won't work, he won't keep a job because he just doesn't think that that's that big a deal. It's not a problem. Eventually, you lose respect and the eye rolls.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of the end. That's one of the largest of the Four Horsemen by far. So if you can't keep, now again, my wife and I joke about our differences on saving.
Right.
But they're not that far apart.
Sure.
I mean, we freely admit hers is a natural rhythm, mine's a built-in. I had to decide to do it because I see the benefits of it, so I intellectually will it. It's against my DNA.
You don't like it.
Yeah, I really don't. I mean, the only reason I save money is so I can give more and have more.
Yeah.
The only reason I don't do it because I get joy out of saving money. It's zero.
Right.
But I can give more and I can buy more.
Yeah, and that brings you joy.
Those two things bring me joy.
Yeah.
So there you go. but that again, that at least we though are in alignment that saving is important, even if it might be for two different reasons. If I absolutely believe that it was ridiculous to keep any money saved, and she's had to have some money saved to have peace, because she's constantly in anxiety because there's no rainy day fund, then that's going to eventually tear up anything you do.
Sure. What's the difference between saving and investing at your kind of scale, or someone who's, bringing in over $1 million a year in their business and they've got some extra cash? What is the difference between saving and investing? Is there a difference at that level of like, okay, some money is just saved in an account and others are invested in different areas?
Savings is short-term, investing is long-term.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty simple. And you can define what that is. But I generally eat things 3 years and less. I'm just saving the money. I'm really not putting it in something that's going to be going up and down.
Got it.
Because I need the money there.
Right.
And so I've got to have the access to it. So it needs to be, it's not going to earn a lot, but it's stable.
Gotcha.
Investing, I can ride a wave because I'm playing a long game.
What's the percentages of saving investing that people should be at?
Well, you should have an emergency fund personally of 3 to 6 months of expenses, the standard rainy day fund. Past that, you need to save up and pay cash for whatever you're purchasing. So if you've got a car purchase in your future, Christmas this year's in December. If you didn't know, you got to get ready for that. And, that kind of stuff.
I thought it was November.
They
this
move
year.
it
No.
occasionally,
Oh,
but
okay,
just in case, yeah. But just in case, a reminder. And so, you got those are savings items. And then past that, everything else would go
Investing
to
it.
investing, because basically one saving is for protection, the emergency fund, and the other's for purchases to avoid debt. Paying cash for my car, paying cash for my couch, paying cash for my trip. And those are short-term saving. Christmas, I'm saving short-term savings items. And then long-term saving items, obviously retirement, kids' college, general wealth building, beyond that to do other things. And so then I get into, at our level, now that we make a lot of money, we're a little bit mixed up in that we get so much over in the investing pile, then a lot of it is not for 30 years from now. A lot of it is for 6 years from now. Yeah. And so I'll throw money over into a mutual fund until I use it to buy a piece of real estate.
Sure.
Or something like that. But that's a little different.
Are there different investments that entrepreneurs should be making outside of their own business versus maybe employees? Is there different types of investments that those individuals should be making? And how many different styles of investments should they make?
Number one, never invest in something you don't understand.
Yeah.
And that's a mistake people make all the time. Number two, you should always have an array of investments, a diversification. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes, spread your portions to 7, yes, to 8, for disaster may come upon the land. So don't have all your eggs in one basket, we say in the financial world, right? And so the biggest thing when we're in our EntreLeadership, where we're working with small businesses and we work with tens of thousands of them every year, the biggest thing, I got a guy at Heat and Air company's got 20 trucks, he's got 40 or 50 employees, and he's got no investments outside of his company.
It's his own business.
Yeah, everything goes back into the business. And that sets him up for two problems. One is he's not diversified, and if that goes south, he's completely baked. Two, he's got no exit strategy at retirement because he's got no money. And so it makes it very difficult. He has to sell that business. That's his only nest egg. And so he or she that owns a small business is much better off to also have their own 401k, their own Roth IRAs and good growth stock mutual funds, and build up some extra wealth in it. Hey, go buy a piece of real estate that the business is not in addition to that.
Outside of the business.
Yeah. So, we've got about $450 million worth of real estate on this campus that's all paid for. But in addition to that, I've got a whole bunch of real estate that's not this place. It's not,
inspire me.
But I'm not bragging, but it's not this place.
It's not this investment.
100% of our real estate is not Ramsey buildings, thank God. That would be unwise. Because then, what if the tenant failed? Well, you lost your business and your tenant.
Right.
And I got a big dadgum empty building over here. This is from a real estate investing standpoint. That's scary.
I'm curious, it seems like a lot of the wealthy get into real estate at some point. I have followed your advice, not all of your advice. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I followed a lot of your advice. I bought my car with cash, I didn't understand real estate, so I put it in a real estate fund.
That's okay.
As opposed to buying it and managing it and figuring out how to
That's okay.
fix things and deal with contractors and all these different things.
Yeah, the REITs are doing good.
Right, so I put it in a fund, but I kind of want to get into real estate. And I don't know if I should or not. I want to because I feel like it's a great asset class for long-term wealth.
It is.
But I don't fully understand it because I've never bought investment properties, right?
I've been buying property since I was 18 years old. Mom and Daddy were in the real estate business when I was growing up. I got my real estate license 3 weeks after I turned 18. So I've been doing this for 50 years, almost. I've been around it for 50 years. I've been doing it for 40 plus. And so the real estate is very romantic.
Yes.
Especially on TikTok, it's like nothing can go wrong. It's all great.
I make $30,000 a month in my Airbnb.
When in actual fact, it is exactly the opposite. Everything will go wrong.
Right.
Count on it. The roof is going to leak. I had a refrigerator ice maker bust the other day, flood the whole freaking house. I got mold and remediation. I got one little house over here. Yeah. It's completely down for 6 months while we rebuild the whole stinking thing. There's nothing romantic or fun about this. The renters aren't paying for it, crap, because there's no renters. It's full of mold, okay? Hello.
Right.
So this is life, okay? So real estate makes more money than other asset classes, but has tremendously more hassle.
Ugh.
So
I don't like the hassle, but how do you manage the hassle?
You buy a REIT instead.
Okay.
And let someone else do it, because the REIT, some of the REITs are doing very well.
Yeah.
Real estate investment trusts, or buy into something like that where you're doing a limited partnership and
Someone's managing it.
You own 1/3, 1/33 or something like that, and someone with a long track record is doing a good job. They're doing it with low or no debt and that kind of a thing. You go that direction. And here's the thing: there's classes of real estate that are less hassle. Okay, warehouse. Almost no hassle,
Right.
because you rent those out triple net, and the tenant takes care of everything: taxes, insurance, and repairs. Taking the long haul, being the tortoise versus the hare, is not human nature. Our brains are wired by God for efficiency. We want to burn the least calories possible to get the job done, whatever it is, which in the financial world causes us to look at get rich quick, and we don't think of it as stupid.